Hi everybody, it's Pam with Silver and Sparkles, and it's time for us to do our weekly library card challenge. So I always like to just grab them and show you guys what I have been making during this challenge. Started back, I guess, the 15th of June. And we're still having fun, so I'm still going. And sometimes there's a little bit of a technique, and sometimes it's just me decorating my card and having fun. I do try to remember to give you guys a prompt and help you get just thinking if you want to use a prompt. If you decide to play along, use the hashtag weekly library card, and that way we can find each other's projects. I can't ever decide which one of mine is my favorite. I just love them. So let me show you what I made before coming on camera and talk about the prompt. This one, I wanted to use this vintage Hobbie wrapping paper that I got. And this was one of the things I found at the world's longest yard sale. And it was someone had already been using it, obviously, for some type of project, because I just cut this precious little one out from just part of the scrap there. And I started thinking about my childhood, and I loved Hobbie, and this one is so sweet. There's a cat, and I had cats growing up, and a little poodle dog. Flowers, a little dolly. I remember the grandfather clock at my grandparents' house. And she's just playing, and I don't know, I did some hand stitching, added a little wooden button, and so the prompt is childhood memories, and I'm going to do several on things that I remember about my childhood, but the first one I wrote is, I always felt I was loved, and I believe every child should be loved and feel that way. And I know that's not true for everyone. Not everyone has that type of childhood memory. And I'm very blessed and fortunate that I do. So I wrote, I always felt I was loved. And I have some other thoughts like that I'm going to add to some different ones, along with some more of the images from the paper. So it's going to be pretty simple. I hope you'll hang around while we chat and craft, and maybe I'll do something interesting that you haven't seen before. You never know what's going to happen. Okay, so I definitely want to find, I want to use this image, but I definitely want to use an image of Hobbie at the beach, because I grew up in Florida. Well, we moved a lot, but my extended family is still there, and I still love the beach, and I have some wonderful memories. Here she is, of being at the beach and, and on the water and everything with my family. Look at the garden. There's so many to choose from. In the kitchen, like with my mom and my grandmother. Her carrying her little kitty cat. It's just, oh my gosh, there's so many sweet ones here. But let's get this one of her playing in the sand. There's a little sailboat. And I think it's just so hard to decide where to cut, Okay, I think I will come across this way. And if you want to play along with this theme, maybe you can find some images, whether it's in a magazine or if you have other type of books or images or photos, things like that you want to use. That would be super fun, I think. Let's see. I remember working in the garden with my mom and also my grandmother, her mostly like watering her plants and things. But here at the beach, I always was slathered. Back then we didn't have the kind of sunscreen we have now. And I had to have that white stuff. Was it Destin? Like not just on my nose, like all across my face. I was very fair with the red hair and the freckles, and I burned very easily. And so it was always a thing. I think with this one, thinking I might bring in some blue. I think this is the background paper for my new Halloween kit. That's funny, but it's okay. It looks pretty with her at the beach. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the date like I normally do just because I like that. And I am going to do some hand stitching like I did on this one. I'm stamping these the date I am making them. You guys will see this video for the first time on the 8th of September, but today's the 7th. So there we go. All right. Now, I don't know that I'm going to write childhood memories on all of them because I may end up deciding, you know, to give some of these to friends or whatever. But I'm going to write on this one. I think I'm going to write just, I treasure family trips, or treasuring family. What do I want to write? Part of me wants to write the family trips to the beach is what I'm remembering. But then I also am thinking about I want to go more with just the feeling. So, let's say family time. Let's say family time was full of joy. And then it's clear I'm remembering, or it is to me anyway, that we are at the beach. Okay. Now, I had gotten out this green ribbon, which is what I used on that one because it goes so well with the paper. Didn't really think about other colors, but on this one, maybe what I'll do is a little bit lighter green. Maybe I'll put a ribbon at the top, and then we'll do some stitching here. So, and I also have some more buttons that we could sew on. I like to sew on paper, and I do use my sewing machine, not on camera, you know, that whole figuring out how to film thing. But we can also hand stitch, which I think gives it a little bit of a vintage look. And, you know, I'm vintage. I'm experienced. I have a lot of fun years on me. So we can go with that look. In fact, one of my memories that I definitely have is I did a lot of cross stitching as a child. So did my mom. Now, my mom was also really good at crocheting, and my grandmother, crocheting, quilting, all of that. But I did cross stitching. I was never very good with the crocheting, but I just held it too tight or something. I don't know. And now my hands, I couldn't handle it. I have like pre-carpal tunnel stuff. And I do okay with my paper crafting. I think it's because it's not this exact same movement all the time. Sometimes they feel numb and I take a break, you know, and don't overdo it. And I have those braces that I sleep in at night. But anyway, that being said, I loved to cross stitch. So there's a lot of memories of sewing from my childhood. All right, I decided on this one I used, well, I got 2 needles ready. The kind of neutral, which I think is really pretty. I'm going to set that one here in case I want to use it on a different one. Oh gosh. And then I also prepped, this is the one I prepped, a darker thread. I can thread a needle on camera, I guess, but I figured why take the time to do that if I don't have to. So I think with this one here, I just did like the 3 little X's. I'm thinking on this one, I might stitch. It won't take long, but I may stitch around and see if I like what that looks like. Now, I didn't worry about the back. If you want to, obviously we could put, you know, glue some paper or something over that and not have to worry about seeing, you know, the thread. Again, I decided it wasn't going to bother me. Ugh, come on, little guy. I was going ahead and piercing some holes. Sometimes when I hand stitch, it's definitely easier for me to pierce with my paper piercer. So I think I'm going to just grab that really quick and go ahead and get myself some holes spaced out and make this go a little bit easier for me. Let's make sure I like how it's looking. And you know, if you don't want to sew, you could just poke the holes like I just did and then draw little lines, make it look like faux stitching. And of course, all of this is optional. I just sometimes like to give it a little bit of an extra look. So when I'm coming from the back, the paper piercer is a little bit thicker than the needle I'm using, so it keeps falling. But, you know, now that I'm only going through the one layer, it's much easier. All right, so the question is, do I want to keep going or do I stop just with the little bit of stitching, you know? I think I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to put the button on and we'll see what else we want to do. Yeah, just to get the idea. And I might decide to, I'm just knotting this, I might decide to, you know, put something on the back too. We'll see. Okay. Set that back in my pin cushion for later. Well, later is now because I'm going to put this button on here. Maybe I will, yeah, let's put a little bit of this fabric underneath the button. Maybe, just to make it a little bit extra. What I'm thinking is I just talked about how it was not easy, keep grabbing the wrong needle, how it was not easy for me to get the needle through the library card and the cardstock and everything. So what we're gonna do, this was on earlier, so hopefully it won't take long to heat up. I'm gonna just sew this to this little scrap and then we'll just glue it down. How's that? So if you want to play along and you don't have library cards, I try to remember to tell you guys this every time. I have a freebie on Buy Me a Coffee where you can get a digital that you can print out yourself. It's got some different, you know, styles of library cards. And there's also one if you want some of the pockets that you can print out and make library pockets. So that will be linked in the video description. So please go grab that and play along. If you want to just use a piece of cardstock, that works great too. An index card, anything you want to alter really. Just kind of a smaller format, and it's fun. So I hope you will grab your supplies, isn't that cute, and play along with us. Let's see, was this still warm? Almost. Okay, we will glue it down in just a minute. I'm gonna let that heat up just a touch. I just think these are so cute. So let me, I think I do want to cover the back, and what I may do is just use one of these scraps here that are a little, gosh, I was looking for my little, here it is, my little tear ruler. Let's just use a little scrap and cover that up. We'll just use her holding her dolly, and she's got her little wagon with her teddy bear. I had a teddy bear that I loved, and you know, the name, so original. His name was, wait for it, Teddy. And let's see, it's not as bad as my cousin who named his dog, who was brown, he named him Brown Dog. So, you know, I did a little bit, I don't know, Teddy, Brown Dog, it's funny. So, in fact, I love that Teddy so much. One of my best friends when we were younger, she took Teddy with her when she got to go on a cruise with her parents. I had never done anything or, you know, that extravagant. We had gone on lots of family vacations, but never been on a cruise. Anyway, so she took Teddy with her on the cruise, and there are all these pictures of Betsy and Teddy on the cruise. So funny. Okay. How cute. So family time was full of joy, and then that's just to decorate the back a touch. You still have the little room for writing. And this one I'm just going to leave what I'm going to call raw. And let's do another one and see what else we kind of come up with and make it look maybe a little different. These particular index cards, this feels like I have two. This one, I mean, it feels thicker than the one I just worked on. Who knows? It's probably my imagination, but you never, ever really know, right? Okay, so which image of Holly Hobbie are we going to use next? Maybe the one in the kitchen. That is like one of my biggest childhood memories, and I like this one in the garden too, so we might do kitchen on one side and garden on the other. Whether it was with my mom or my grandmother or my aunts in the kitchen. It was, and I think on this one, I'm going to write, I felt like I belonged. I wrote, I felt like I was loved, but I did. They made me feel like I belonged and that I could do things, and I could learn, you know. They were strong, capable, loving women. Okay. So for this little Holly Hobbie, let's stamp her. Oh, I did it upside down. You guys know I do that occasionally. I'm going to do it again. And it's okay. In fact, I'm just going to leave it. And if I end up covering it up, great. And if I don't, that's okay too. Okay, let's get out this very stringy piece of fabric. This is some of that sari silk, and it's kind of all over the place. Like I said, if you don't like having all these strings, it's probably best not to try to tear it like I tend to do. But I just trim them off if they're bothering me. So it's really okay. Okay, so this one, no, I'm going to put her here. I'm just going to do a tiny touch of that to hold this in place while I decide what I'm doing. We'll glue her down. So cute. Now, pin. That's what I was looking for. I felt like I belonged. Okay, love it, love it, love it. I'm going to do more, but let's go ahead and glue her down too. And I have just some strips of paper. Of course I do, right? Some scraps. And this is in that color theme. I think this is part of, again, my fall kit, not the Halloween one, just the fall one, an offcut from one of the pages, or I was making something. I think it was the One Page Wonder I did recently. It's hard to remember. Every little scrap, but it is fun to pull them out and kind of remember projects. That part is fun. Okay, so I was taught to cook and work in the garden. I don't garden anymore. Work in the garden. And I'm going to write some of the, I'm going to write like my mom's name. I'm going to write Sally, Opal, Nancy Bell. Nancy Bell was my grandmother. Opal's one of her sisters. She had a sister, Ruth, as well. But Opal and Nancy Bell were best friends. And I spent a lot of time at my Aunt Nancy Bell's house, too. Sally, Opal, and I did a lot of the gardening there. Sally, Opal, Nancy Bell, Sarah Jo, and I'm going to do a heart. And I could write Margaret. She taught me to cook. That was my Aunt Margaret. Margaret, Susan. There's so many, right? Sarah Jo, and I'm also going to write Nook because I did not call my Aunt Sarah Jo. I called my grandmother Grandma, but she went by Mama Jo or Sarah Jo. All right, just for me, you know, some fun memories. Maybe a heart here cut out of something. Wonder if without making Holly Hobbie look weird. Yeah, I didn't do that right. I did not do that right. I was just trying to get a little bit of the color of the paper. Looking for a scrap that might work. I don't think that works, does it? Give me one moment. I will find something, I'm sure. Ooh, here's a fun scrap, though. Doesn't that look pretty with this? Okay, so lace we will keep and use, hopefully. All right, let's just cut a heart out of this. And I'm going to not draw it. And I could have grabbed my heart punches. They're sitting right here, but sometimes having a heart that's a little more less perfect is something I like. Now, one thing I did not think of is I have decorated the front and the back of this one before I did any sewing. So if I want to sew, I am going to need to sew and then add it on. Let's see, what do we have? I'm really liking these that are in this more of a neutral instead of the gray, so kind of a brown and a tan. Sometimes getting the little wires are hard, getting them out. Y'all have also seen me grab and go, I'm going to leave the wire in to give it an interesting look, right? Sometimes it's because I know pulling it off of there is going to be hard for me. I can do hard things. That's one of my favorite things to write in my art too, is either you can do hard things, or if I'm doing like a truth, I can do hard things, because it is important to remind ourselves that even if something is challenging, we can persevere, right? All right, so should I bring it down and sort of cover up my boo-boo? Should I bunch it up? Should I put it on this side, right? There's so many choices. I think what I want to do is lay a piece down like this, maybe with a button. And maybe I will cut another strange heart. Let's see if I can do a little bitty one. A little bitty heart. Let's see what happens. If we like it. I'm going to angle it just a touch more. That was something my mother could do. She was a first grade teacher. Through the years, I always say she was a first grade teacher because I think that's what she taught the most, but she's also taught kindergarten and other things. Yeah, we'll put that heart right here. I'm going to use the hot glue because of the fabric right there. There was like a little slit in the wrapping paper that I wanted to cover up. And this, I think I'm just going to sew quickly, hopefully. And I'm going to use this lighter color thread. I'm just going to sew the button right here onto the lace real quick. And then we'll glue or tape or do something. We'll get it on the card somehow. Like I said, if I had been thinking, I could have decorated one side and then the other, and then covered up the stitching, but I definitely don't want to put the stitching on my pretty decorated library card. Like I said, if it wasn't decorated, I don't mind. Okay. Just get a little knot and see where we're at. Yeah. And that'll be cute. And I'm going to just snip it a little bit at an angle. We'll see. And I may just glue it right here and let the lace be loose. Nope, we're not going to leave that lace loose. I don't like that at all. Oh. Grab my hot glue. All right, do a very thin little dab, just enough to grab it. Okay. Oh, how cute. They're different, aren't they? I wonder if I want a little piece. For some reason, I'm feeling the need to have some lace on this side. Maybe just across the top. I just kind of like that soft look on there. Sounds like my husband's home. I told him I will be able to finish this video while you were at the store and then put the groceries away. And he was like, yeah, okay. But I'm almost done, and I will go put those groceries away before he has time. I'm not going to use that one. I took it off and I'm not even using it. Okay. Made 3 this week, 1 off camera. I hope you guys like these. I may decide to decorate the back of this one. I don't know. Holly Hobbie. There's so many more images on here that bring back childhood memories for me, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Drop me a comment if you also liked Holly Hobbie, but let me know what you thought of this project. Give the video a thumbs up, all the good things, right? Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day.